Good afternoon, everyone. I will call this meeting of Stratford City Council to order, and we'll begin this afternoon's meeting with a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Madam Clerk, the meeting is yours.
Through your worship, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? And if so, please state the general nature thereof.
Seeing none.
Item 3 is adoption of the minutes, and there is a motion that the minutes of Council of the Corporation of the City of Stratford for the regular meeting dated August 9th and the special meeting dated August 16th be adopted as printed.
Moved by Councillor Vasilakos and seconded by Councillor Bunting. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried.
Item 4, just prior to today's meeting, an addenda was circulated, and there is a motion that the addenda to the regular agenda of Council and Standing Committees dated August 23rd to add items 5.3, 11.5, and consent agenda items CA-2021-116 be added to the agenda as printed.
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Burback that the addenda be adopted. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It's carried.
Item 5 is report of the Committee of the Whole in camera session, and item 5.1, at the August 9th session under the Municipal Act as amended, a matter concerning the following item was considered, and that was item 4.1 for the disposition of right business park industrial lands under the proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or local board exemption. And there is a staff recommendation that the Corporation of the City of Stratford hereby consents to the sale of Lot 20, Plan 44M-38, save and accept Part 1, Plan 44R-5393 in the Wright Business Park, City of Stratford, County Perth, to 1676638 Ontario Limit.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Gaffney and seconded by Councillor Burback. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried.
Item 5.2, just prior to today's meeting, an in-camera session was held to consider the following items. Item 4.1, expropriation LPAT hearing and related litigation matters update, and that was under the litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Item 5.1, the Bronze Star presentation nominees under personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal employees or local board employees. And item 6.1, appointment to the Accessibility Advisory Committee under the personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal employees or local board employees. And at the in-camera session, direction was given on items 5.1 and 6.1.
Thank you.
Turning to your addenda, item 5.3 is appointment to the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And there is a motion that Roger Court be appointed as a citizen representative to the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the remainder of a 4-year term to November 14th, 2022, or until a successor is appointed by council.
Moved by Councillor Henderson, seconded by Councillor Ritzma. Discussion. Not all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
Turning back to your agenda, item 6 is hearings, deputations, and presentations, and there are none scheduled. Moving on to item 7, orders of the day. Item 7.1 is a resolution for the landfill gas collection system expansion. And there is a staff recommendation that Council of the Corporation of the City of Stratford award tender T-2021-42 to QMLP for the landfill gas collection system expansion project at a total price of $1,011,433.62, including HST.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Vasilakos, seconded by Councillor Burback. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Councillor Bunting, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I just had a question with respect to the waste, the waste that's going to the landfill to cause these installations. And it's my understanding, despite our great efforts with the green bins, and it's been a success, and as far as I can tell, there's still a considerable amount of matter going to the landfill itself from private contractors and various other institutions within the city. So I wondered if we had any figures or facts available with respect to how much food waste is going to the landfill to cause this continuation of installing such systems to gather the methane gas.
Mr. Crinklaw, I believe the Director of Infrastructure.
Yes, through your worship, I don't have that information readily at hand, but I can bring an update report to discuss where diversion is at for the city.
Thank you.
Anything further? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
Item 7.2 is a resolution regarding the TJ Dolan Drive multi-use trail tender award for contract T 2021-44. And there is a staff recommendation that council award tender T-2021-44 for the TJ Dolan Drive multi-use trail contract to Steve Smith Construction Corporation at a total tender price of $208,344.88, including HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the necessary contract agreement.
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Burback. Discussion? Councillor Burback?
Thank you. Yes. Just seeing that this tender came in quite a bit below the amount that we had grant for, would there be any possibility to add a couple of the other features that we had earlier discussed with this project? The two that came to mind was the possibility of putting a footbridge over where the weir is, so using the weir as a base and adding a footbridge. The second idea was to add a crosswalk across John Street to connect the TJ Dolan natural area to this piece of the trail. So I was just wondering if it was at all feasible to possibly add something like that to this project.
Mr. Crinklaw?
Yes, through your worship. Unfortunately, to add scope to the project would require another application, and due to the time restrictions, that's not feasible this time.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Seven?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, so are all costs now, they'll be covered by the funding that is being received?
Mr. Crinklaw?
Through your worship. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
Item 8, business for which previous notice has been given and there's none scheduled. So moving on to item 9, reports of the standing committees. Item 9.1 is the report of the Infrastructure, Transportation and Safety Committee, and there are 5 items listed for consideration. So the first one being item 9.1.1, request for exemption from noise control bylaw 113-79 for wedding at private residence at 378 William Street. With respect to items 9.1.2 and 9.1.3, staff have been advised that the event for the Kinson Family Day of Music and Fireworks has been canceled, and as such, we would be requesting that these items be filed. Item 9.1.4, that one will remain as it is a request for staff to review and report back on fireworks alternatives being used in other municipalities. And then the final item is 9.1.5, the COVID-19 Ontario Wastewater Surveillance Initiative.
If Councillor Vasilaka should move it, but just amend 9.1 and 2 to say to be filed at the end. Thank you. Seconder would be Councillor Burback for that. And we're noting that they are filing 9.1.2 and 9.1.3. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed to any? That's carried. Thank you.
Item 9.2 is the report of the Planning and Heritage Committee, and there is one item listed, and that's item 9.2.1, minor modification to draft plan of subdivision 31T17-001, and that's for Northwest Stratford.
That would be moved by Councillor Ingram, second by Councillor Ritzma. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed to any? That's carried.
Item 9.3 is report of the Finance and Labor Relations Committee, and there's one item listed as follows, and that's item 9.3.1, Q1 Operating Budget Variance Report as at March 31st, 2021.
Councillor Gaffney will move, seconded by Councillor Bunting. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
Item 10 is notice of intent, and item 10.1 is notice of public meeting under the Planning Act. And Stratford City Council will hold a public meeting on Thursday, September 30th at 6 p.m. to hear all interested persons with respect to the following planning application: zone change application Z10-21 for 3202 Vivian Line 37.
Thank you.
Item 11 is reading of the bylaws, and there are 4 bylaws listed for consideration as follows. And the first one being 11.1, transfer to 1676638 Ontario Limited of Lot 20, Plan 44M-38, save and accept Part 1, Plan 44R-5393. 11.2, acceptance of tender for the TJ Dolan Drive multi-use trail contract. And 11.3, acceptance of tender for the 2021 Stratford landfill gas collection. And then turning to your addenda, 11.5 to amend the appointments bylaw 178-2018. These bylaws can be taken collectively upon unanimous vote of council present.
Councillor Gaffney is moving, seconded by Councillor Henderson, that these bylaws be taken.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Councillor Gaffney.
I'd actually like to take 11.2 separately, please.
Sure. So the motion then would be for bylaw 11.1, 3, and 5 to be taken collectively, and we'll call for unanimous approval of that, and it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. So we'll go to first and second reading of bylaw 11.1, 11.3, and 11.5. Discussion. Councillor Bunting? You'll move it. Seconder, Councillor Burback. Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? It's carried. And third and final reading of bylaw 11.1, 11.3, and 11.5. Councillor Ingram, thank you for moving, and second, Councillor Vasilakos. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. First and second reading of bylaw 11.2 for the TJ Dolan tender. Moved by Councillor Vasilakos, seconded by Councillor Ingram. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? One opposed, and that's carried. Third and final reading. Councillor Ritzma and Councillor Burback moving and seconding bylaw 11.2. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you.
Item 12 is the consent agenda. Are there any items listed on the consent agenda to be considered by council? And that includes the added item, consent agenda 2021-116.
Seeing no hands, we'll go to new business. Councillor Ingram and Councillor Henderson. Councillor Ingram, we cannot hear you. Councillor Henderson.
I was just wondering if we knew when we're getting the sidewalk on Durrell Street on the south side from, I think it's around Burt out to the mall.
Mr. Director of Infrastructure and Public Works, Mr. Crinclaw.
Through your worship, I'm not sure of the timelines of that at this time.
Thank you. Can you provide the information? Just email council with that. Thank you. Councillor Ingram, do you want to try one more time? Okay. Any other new business? If not, a motion to adjourn to reconvene in Community Services Committee. Thank you, Councillor Beattie and Councillor Burback. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Councillor Beattie, you're in the chair.
Good afternoon. I'll call the Community Services Committee meeting to order. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Item 3, the subcommittee minutes, which were provided for you. Item 4 is delegations, which are none scheduled. Item 5 is report of the manager of transit. Item 5.1 is the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program Transit Funding Update. And we do have the staff recommendation before you. And we also have our manager of transit, Mike Mosley, available for comment should there have any questions or comments. Councillor Gaffney.
I'll move the staff recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Motion seconder by Councillor Henderson. Is there any questions or comments? See none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. The rest of the information is for you. And there was a department update from the director, which again is for your information. And if there's nothing further, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councillor Vasilakos and second by Councillor Burbach. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Council will reconvene. I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Through your worship, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest made at the committee meetings to be restated at the reconvene?
I don't see any hands for the restatement of a conflict of pecuniary interest, but I see Councillor Henderson has raised her hand.
I apologize for this, but under 7.2, I forgot I had put a little footnote there. I'm just checking the park benches. Are they using the CRP plastic benches? Says they're putting 4 along there. I just wanted to double check that it's the CRP plastic benches.
Mr. Krinkla, would you like to?
Sure. Through your worship, that has been our standard in the past. I haven't checked the specifications myself, but I assume that is what would be used.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to note that it is the standard, but we don't actually name a particular manufacturer within it. So often we use the CRP specifications and product design, but it is open for alternatives to be submitted.
Right. I just want to ensure because the one time we couldn't do that because of the fact it was included in the work order or the request for proposals. So I'm glad to hear that we're doing it the other way. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, back to you.
Returning to your agenda. Item 15.2 is reading of the bylaws, and there's one bylaw listed, and that is bylaw 11.4 confirmatory bylaw, and it requires first and second reading and third and final reading.
Moving first and second reading, 11.4 is Councillor Vasilakos and Councillor Burbach. All those in favor of this afternoon's confirmatory bylaw? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Third and final reading, Councillor Seven and Councillor Gaffney for the confirmatory bylaw of this afternoon's meeting. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And to adjourn this afternoon's proceedings, moved by Councillor Ingram and second by Councillor Beebe. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you.